And now, you're tuned into RBLR, the home of Tampa Bay's Reveler Sports.
Hi, everybody. You're listening to your RBLR Rays show. I am Ben, and with me is Zach. How's it going, Zach? Good morning. What's the weather like?
Good morning. The weather is actually pretty nice today. It's like upper 60s, a little overcast. It's supposed to rain a little bit later in the day, but not too much. So I think it's a good day. I might go on a walk later. Might go. There's some minor league baseball in town. I might go see if they're available. But yeah, it's a pretty good day today. How are you?
I'm good. I think we got to get like a green screen behind you so we can start showing like the weather map.
Do like the weather patterns where I can like show the cold fronts going through.
Yeah, we need to know where the high pressure system is.
Yeah.
But yeah, speaking of high pressure systems, I honestly didn't even plan that. Ray's bullpen was a little shaky this week in some high pressure situations, but they still managed to go. What is that? It's 5-5 in their last 10 games.
5-5. Yeah, that's their current.
Something. I don't know. I don't remember if that includes last night's game, but yeah, they split the final two games against the Yankees in New York since the last time we recorded. And then they finally got an off day after 13 straight, but now they just began a 16 straight schedule, 16-day in a row schedule. When they started their series against the Mets, they dropped 2 out of 3, and then they begin this homestand here against Milwaukee and then Toronto, and I think the Dodgers come in next. They're beginning that homestand, though, with a W. So
yeah.
A lot happening this week. A lot of baseball despite the off day.
Yeah, a lot of baseball, a lot of really intense baseball. Like I feel like, even though all the results aren't what we want them to be, I feel like I can confidently say that if you want to watch a good, entertaining baseball game, watch whoever the Rays are playing, because there's going to be entertaining baseball because the Rays are going to pitch well for the most part. They have really good hitting, and they're playing some high quality teams right now. And there's just some very entertaining baseball. Like they have not played a boring baseball game in like a couple of weeks, which I would like. I wouldn't mind like a boring one. Like if today was a boring like 6-0 win, that'd be great. But honestly, I can't be too mad about entertaining baseball.
No, I mean they're playing teams with that are high quality. Like even the Mets, didn't they win 100 games last year?
They did.
And they're mostly the same roster. Like there was hardly any turnover, not too many injuries either. So it's like they're just playing good teams. So it's fine. You go 5-5 against really tough competition with a bunch of injuries and inconsistencies in your bullpen. That's a pretty good stretch. But anyways, we're about to get into this. So before we do, just make sure you like, subscribe, share, all the stuff we do here at RBLR Sports, especially the Rays side of things, because the Rays are the best Tampa sports team. I'm going to start that debate here now. But yeah, just it helps us grow. It helps us continue to put out great stuff for our listeners. And even if you don't like baseball, like you're just here to make fun of us, or you're just here because you like the other RBLR shows, that's great, because just keep sharing us and subscribing, liking what we do. It helps, and it's free, so everybody likes things that are free.
Hard to argue with free.
Yeah, so anyways, we split those final two games against New York, the Yankees in New York. Anything from those final two games that you wanted to bring up? I know it was like 100 years ago.
Yeah, it feels like 100 years ago. I think it was some like tough games to watch from a heart rate perspective. They're entertaining baseball games, like we've been saying, but again, we've said it before. When you're playing on the road on very little rest, and you're down 3/5 of your rotation, and you're kind of just treading water at this point, and you can see it with the way the bullpen has been performing. Like I don't think if we had all our starters available and they weren't being used as frequently as they have been, that the bullpen would be performing the way it is right now. It is what it is. I don't think they're performing as badly as their results have been, saying that they're performing. It's just sort of unfortunate that it's, we've been in some close games, and we, a couple of those games where we've won in the past, we didn't win this time. But I think, at the end of the day, Yankees are still like 7 games back. It would have been nice to sweep the leg and step on their throat and put them 10 games back or whatever. But like, it is what it is. Just we'll have more games against them. Just continue to win and hope that they can, because the truth is, if we continue to play at the level we're playing, they're not going to make those 7 games up. It's a lot of games to make up, even this early in the season. So it would have been great to win the series or get a sweep, but we didn't. That's okay.
Yeah, I mean, they're still leading the season series, and normally when you have McClanahan on the mound like they did in that third game, you're going to win. Like, he's their ace, but he laid an egg for the first time in like 2 or 3 months worth of starts. Like,
Yep.
he really doesn't do that. Those games are going to happen. That's just how baseball works. But can't be too upset though. I mean, you're playing 29 games in 30 days. That doesn't like every team has that in their schedule like once in the year. The Rays are getting it out of the way early while they're also playing like, the most one of the tougher schedules in those 30 days. I think they're like top 3 or top 4 in strength of schedule for this stretch. So it's going to be a little rough, and then like we said, the injuries, and then that's kind of like adding to the taxing on the bullpen. We do have Glass now coming back soon, Armstrong coming back soon, Fairbanks came back, so like things are getting better. Taj is like back on his 5-day rotation allegedly, so he'll be up hopefully for the foreseeable future. So things will be fine for the bullpen going forward in terms of like workload. But yeah, I mean, the McClanahan laying an egg is kind of weird. I thought they did things really well in that series. They
Yeah.
pitched to Aaron Judge extremely well. Like, he had one good game, like actually just 2 good at bats in that whole
Yeah.
series, and that was pretty much it. A key to that was throwing him a first pitch strike 78% of the time, which is very, very high. He was only seeing 63% first pitch strikes on the season compared like coming into that series. So the Rays like are not afraid of him. They will attack the zone and then expand late, and that's what they did. And he did have 2 home runs, but those were only his only 2 hits. I thought everything went like they had like the right game plan and everything. Just the execution kind of faltered as they were running out of gas near the end of a 13 game in a row stretch.
Yeah, and that's that's going to happen. And again, like the way they pitch to Judge is exactly the way you want to. It's just unfortunate that the reason why why we analyze the way that they pitch to Judge is because he's very good and he can hurt you. If you make a mistake, he will punish it, and we've been seeing that since then. Because I think he's on a 7-game streak of home runs. He's just gone nuclear over the last week. So he's a very dangerous hitter. It is, and the fact that over a 4-game series you gave up 2 hits to him, and he only contributed 2 runs to those games. I think that I really can't be upset about that. Rizzo was more effective in the series than Judge was. And I mean, I'd be curious to see if maybe the next time we play them, the Rays take a bigger microscope to the way that they face Rizzo, because Rizzo's having a really good year this year. And maybe he needs to start getting a little bit more, observation in the way that we're pitching to him, because he seems to be swinging a hot bat against us. So maybe that's an adjustment that we make next time, that we really dial in on Rizzo and make sure he's not the one that beats us, and see if they make any adjustments there. It'd be interesting to see.
I like their strategy of what they do with everything, where it's attack the zone and then expand once you get to 2 strikes. I I almost want them to adjust that when they're at Yankee Stadium, because like if you're a left-handed bat, all you have to do is pull the ball in the air, and there's like a 40% chance it's going to be a home run or something like
Yeah.
that. Like, it's insane. So part of me wants to see them deviate from that and maybe just pitch every left-handed bat away. But at the same time, if you start like changing what you're doing, then it leaves more like margin for error and not
Yeah.
like the good kind of wiggle room. So I think just being consistent and sticking to their guns and their strategy is probably the best bet in the long term. But I mean, it's nothing they're necessarily doing. It's kind of like Rizzo was hot, but also he hit like 2 340-foot home runs that are just normal fly ball outs at any other stadium in baseball other than Williamsport.
Yeah.
So it's just, yeah, I mean, this is kind of like the theme of the week, but like it is what it is. That's baseball. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, sometimes your good hitters hit, sometimes they don't, and then sometimes your not good hitters also hit. It's just weird in a small sample.
That's baseball. I mean, if you want to get really into like that's baseball, your 9-hole guy is the reason you won yesterday. Like that's baseball. That it's going to be that way. It's going to be that way
Yeah.
all year long. And guess what? You're still 20 games over 500. So relax.
Yeah. Oh, that also reminds. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Good. No, I was just say, just let's everybody can we just calm down? I mean, there was you would think we were on the verge of 500 the way the tweets were flying during the Mets series and during a little bit during the end of the Yankees, especially during the Mets series, which we can probably talk about as well. But like you would think we were like 1 or 2 games to our 500, barely hanging on by the way that the tweets were flying.
Yeah, it's insane. But I was talking to Hayden Herb a little bit this week. He's pitching in the complex league, and he was telling me, because baseball is just so weird, and he was telling me like he had 4 straight appearances, like not allowing any runs, hits, nothing, striking out like over 50% of his batters, and then he has a game where his next outing, he's throwing the best velo, best movement, best everything, like best stuff of his life, and he gave up like he couldn't get out of the inning, gave up like 4 extra base hits, couple walks, couple earned runs, and it's like even when you got it, sometimes it just sucks, and that's gonna happen, and that's okay. So, but yeah, he seems like he's throwing pretty well in the complex league, by the way. But yeah, I just thought it was interesting and relevant because you can do everything right and it still doesn't work, or you could do something horrible and it works. But usually when you're doing the right thing, like the Rays do, you're making quality pitches, you're hitting the ball hard, good things are going to happen more often than not. But it's funny how it doesn't work out sometimes.
Yeah, and I think when you look at the race, the race season is a really good example of it's going to work out more often than not because it has worked out more often than not. Just so happens that right now it's been working out not instead of the way we'd like it to. Because keep in mind, we started this season winning 13 games in a row. When you talk about things working out or not working out, there's a lot of things working out for those first 13 games of the year. So some of that's going to balance back out. But if we're in a period where it's balancing back the other way, we're still playing 500 baseball, which we can play 500 baseball the rest of the way and still win 90 games. I'm pretty sure at this point.
Yeah.
Which I think is going to be good enough to make the playoffs. But I don't think the Rays are going to play better than that. But like that's where we're at with this team right now. Like you're really really splitting hairs right now when you're complaining about things because a lot of this stuff that you're seeing that's going wrong is only going wrong circumstantially. It's not something that's going to be a consistent theme. There's a few things that we do need to be discussed, which I'm sure we've got questions about. But a lot of these things are splitting hairs on very circumstantial situations that are not going to be like season-long referendums, I don't think.
No, absolutely not. But the things that the trends that we are seeing, like that are going to be season long, are the good things. Like they have a good approach, good game plan. The base running is excellent. Everybody kind of has like their own individual approach at the plate, but they can also kind of put together a cohesive game plan, which is kind of what we saw against Justin Verlander, which was awesome. He's a tough pitcher. He wasn't his best, but he also wasn't like he had a pretty above average start, I'd say. Like his stuff was good, command was pretty solid, but the Rays really grinded out some at bats and they made him throw pitches over the plate that they could do something with, and that was probably like their best game. It kind of felt like they punted later in the series, like when they were just completely gassed and they're like, yeah, Zach Littell, go pitch a couple innings in a high leverage, let's see what happens. But yeah, I really like their game plan against Verlander, and then the rest of the series just kind of just fell a little bit flat. But I mean, the Mets barely hit any home runs for like 3 weeks, and then the Rays are the team who've given up the fewest home runs. So of course, naturally, when they play each other, the Mets hit a ton of home runs, and the Rays give up a bunch of home runs. So everything is trending in the right direction for a Rays series win, and then it just happens to not go that way, unfortunately.
Yeah, and when you look at, I think that the microscope is on the bullpen because they blew 2 saves in one game. It's not ideal. And when you look at what happened in those at bats and in those last 2 innings there with Jason Adam and Pete Fabricks, who ideally are your number 1, number 2, I think it's again circumstantial. When you look at Adam coming in there in the 9th, I think Adam's been a little bit overused because you haven't had Pete because he's been hurt.
Mhm.
And this is something that is fair, I think, to say is we don't really have a number 3 right now in this bullpen.
Yeah.
I think Poche is getting there a little bit. He's been pitching very well recently, so he maybe he plays himself into that role eventually. But at the moment, you do not have a number 3 in this bullpen. So you have Jason Adam and Pete Fairbanks, and when Pete Fairbanks is not available, you have Jason Adam, and Pete Fairbanks has been unavailable for like the last 2 weeks. So Jason Adams has been getting a lot of use. So he's put in that situation when in reality, Fairbanks was available and he ended up pitching anyway, and he was already warming up. I don't know if putting Adam in there was the best move. I would have put in. I think it would have been a great opportunity. You're up 3 runs. Let Pete, get in there and try to finish the game out. They didn't make that choice. That's it's okay. And when you look at the pitch, that Adam threw there, I think it goes down to something that I've been observing over the last couple of games, and that's that I wonder if maybe the sequencing is what's causing problems for the Rays, relievers right now, because their stuff grades are fine. When you look at for especially for Adam, like his stuff grades are good over the last, week or so. I think I checked like last night, and his stuff grades still look pretty good over the last couple of weeks. So I'm wondering if maybe there's just some, you happen to throw the wrong pitch at the wrong time to the wrong guy who was like, let's be honest, I think there's some guys that are sitting on some pitches. I think it's very obvious that Pete Alonso was sitting fastball in the 10th. Like, I think he was waiting for a fastball to get thrown to him so he could swing at it. I would have kept throwing the slider because I think he either wasn't picking it up or he was sitting fastball so much that I think he could have gotten in with the slider if he went there again. But they didn't. And again, it's okay. I think these pitchers were put in situations that I think were sort of reactions to what they've been dealing with over the last 2 weeks that are based on injuries and lack of support from the starters because we have injuries. So you have to your bullpen's been forced to perform more than it would normally. So while the results it was tough. It's tough to see, 2-3 run home runs in the 9th and the 10th inning of a game. Like, that's tough to watch. But I think those are not a sign of things to come. It was just an unfortunate, happening on a night when really I think the Rays they're just trying to get out of New York, trying to get back to Tampa. It's been a long road trip. It was just kind of a rough ending to a road trip where I think they just needed to get back home.
Yeah, it really kind of felt like, I mean, obviously they're trying to win every game that they can win, but you're not going to jeopardize the long-term health of your players for an interleague game in May. Like, that's not like Pete Fairbanks, his first game back off the IL, and fans wanted him to go 2 up downs in like sub 60-degree weather in his first game off the IL. Like, actually, I'll be nice. I just
Don't be
think
nice,
about what
Kevin.
you're saying. Think about what you're saying. That's completely maybe one of the worst takes I've heard all season. So I can't understand that one. But Jason Adam is fine. His stuff grades have been 122 stuff plus this season, 121 stuff plus last season. He's been in the 120 to 125 range over the last 7 days, last 14 days, last 30 days. So he's been really consistent. Location's been a little off. Uh, 89 on location plus compared to 98 last year, but he's only thrown 19 innings. Those things take like at least like 35, 40 innings to stabilize. So to make like a judgment call on how really any pitcher in the bullpen is doing before they get to like the maybe 40, 45 inning range, like you're kind of just jumping the gun in small sample stuff. So command, that usually works itself out, especially with the Rays philosophy, but the stuff has been phenomenal. So no concerns there. His sweeper is pretty new, so of course he's going to maybe have his most struggles with that pitch, but overall, like, he kind of overperformed last season by by like a run and a half over his expected FIP. This season, he's only overperforming by 1 run, so of course it looks worse. And run scoring is up this year. League average ERA and FIP were just under 4 last year. Now they're up over 4.3. So like, I think people looking at ERA, even FIP and expected FIP, like peripherals are skewed this year. Like, we can't, just because first of all it's very early in the season, it's May, but also run scoring is way up. So everybody's frame of reference is last year or whatever. That's not going to cut it. Like, we gotta. I don't really like stats like that for relievers, anyways. But things are different, and it's going to take some time to get used to. So that's part of it as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think because a lot of the players have adjusted to it from a like, a viewing perspective, we kind of, I've sort of put through past our minds the adjustments that have been made to the rules this season. But I think we have yet to truly be able to understand the way the rule changes are going to affect averages, performance on just a season long level. We don't know that yet at all. So a lot of these things that we're seeing, who knows what perspective we will have on that at the end of the year when we can look back and say, wow, pitch clock really affected the run environment, or wow, the larger bases really affected the Stolten, the way that we see, hits turning into extra base hits, or the run stealing environment. Like, who knows? It's really hard to determine that at this time. So a lot of our analysis, if you're just basing your analysis off of outcomes and statistics from that perspective, like counting numbers, it's going to be a little bit skewed because you're operating your control group is not accurate to the current experiment because you've changed the parameters. So this is the new control group. This season is the new control group, but it's not complete yet. So you can really only make very general observations from trying to make any sort of really like general, trends. You really can't say that until you've had a full season with this control group, or at least half a season, because you don't have a control group right now because of how they've changed things. And I think that's kind of being lost in the weeds because a lot of players from a viewing perspective from the audience of a game have adjusted. So I don't think people are clocking just how much that's affecting the game on a day in, day out basis for a lot of players.
No, that's a good point. I mean, because that's kind of like the overarching thing, but also a lot of the reactions we've been seeing are things to like a 4 inning sample, a 1 game sample. Like you got to look at things like that's why I kind of like stopped doing like daily game notes, and I'm just doing like my series things, because it's like there's just baseball's so weird, and it's a
Yeah.
lot of work to do that every day. But doing it like by a series, you can really kind of look more at like a trend wide thing. And a lot of, even when I'm looking at like a series, I'm just like looking at stats like last 14 days, stuff like that. um so yeah, I think everybody just has to keep things in perspective more, and the players in the clubhouse are doing that. Like the team is, no, if you look at the clubhouse, if you look at everybody's body language, like they don't look like a team that, went 5-5 this week or had a 4-6 road trip. They look like the same team that started 13-0. Like they're not panicking. So like, why is everybody else panicking? That's what I'm confused about. Like, yeah, I mean, the guys that are literally going through it are having a ton of fun and are not worried. So why are the radio people not having fun, and why are they so worried?
They should be having fun, because I think about it from this perspective. If you went into your job every day and you had this idea in your head that you were going to be judged based off of one day of your job, you would act a certain way. If you knew that when you went into your job every
That's true.
day, you're based on how your yearly performance is going to be judged, and that's how you're going to be evaluated, you're going to perform a certain way. I think it's very clear that the Rays have an expectation in their clubhouse that we are judging you based on a year, or at least an extended period of time. We're going to judge your performance based on that, not on your daily performance. And I think you can tell when there are teams that are telling players you are judged on a plate appearance by plate appearance, or a pitching appearance by pitching appearance basis, and that affects the clubhouse. It affects the way you do games. I think it's very clear that you're not that the Rays players are not being judged that way. And by the way, I think most people would feel it's very unfair if somebody was watching them do their job every day, and at the end of it, when they got home from work, someone was letting them know that they failed that day on the job, and you would say, well, it was one day, I did this great thing last week. And if you had that short-term memory, if someone had that short-term memory with you, if your boss at your job had that short-term memory with you, you would leave that job, because that's ridiculous. No good manager is going to have that short-term of a memory, regardless of the stakes. Like, unless you just have a terrible boss, you're not going to have, like, you cannot grade employees based on a 1 week performance or a 1 month performance. You need more time than that, unless they're doing something actively negligent or deriding to your business, you can't judge them based on a 1 month performance. And none of the Rays pitchers are doing anything but what they're being asked to do. And the same thing with the hitters. So you cannot judge anyone. I don't think you can judge anyone yet, really fully. Like, you cannot make a full judgment call on anyone in this season yet.
No, absolutely not. And that's a good point. And it's kind of why I like stats more like pitch grades and pitch shapes, especially for relievers, because like that stuff is, you want to throw good pitches. Like, that's your job as a reliever. Like, they live and die in small samples, so they're always going to be, the guys that everybody goes after first. So you can't really even look at like FIP or expected FIP with them, because it's like you can have one bad game that skews your stats for like 2 months. So yeah, I think looking at not even peripherals, like I used to like that for relievers like last year, but I'm realizing, wow, that doesn't hold up. Like, it just fluctuates so much. And the really good ones will maintain it in the long run, but that's still the long run. Like, if you're looking at it like in a game by game or week by week basis, I think pitch grading is kind of the way to go. But going back to what you said about like your boss and your manager, like, sitting over your shoulder and over managing or micromanaging, whatever. We did have a question. What do you think it would take to fire Kevin Cash or see a major change in the front office? Like, it's weird to get this question after a 4-6 road trip in May in an interleague series, but I hate to even bring it up, but I know people are probably thinking it, so I'll put it up here. What does it take to fire Kevin Cash or see a major change at the front office?
Is this like a Elseworlds hypothetical or like a serious question? Like, it's like, I wish I could tell the tone of this question
I could
over
not
the
tell.
phone,
The internet's horrible.
because I don't even know. Like, Kevin Cash is the best manager in baseball. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know how you can, if you've watched if you've just watched the Blue Jays series, like, you'd rather have that guy who's losing his mind over the placement of the third base coach. That's the guy you want. A guy like, who do you want? Like, this is, I can't with that, because Kevin Cash he's a phenomenal manager. He instills a great clubhouse environment in with this team. What would it take for him to get fired? I don't know. They'd have to go back to the basement probably of the division, which is not going to happen. Like, and in the front office, if you're suggesting that Eric Neander needs to get fired, then you've really lost it, because you're looking at a guy who is consistently acquiring high-end talent with incredible restrictions on what he can do. If you gave Eric Neander the Yankees budget, it would be over. It would be done. Like, we could all just pack it up and go home, because he has incredible talent evaluation. He obviously trusts his guys who are doing that, and they have an incredible system that they have created for finding talent and acquiring talent. And that's what they do. And all of the people saying that, like, if we're saying, hey, it looks like the Rays need a number 3 reliever, don't you think Eric Neander and Kevin Cash are aware of that as well? And they are either grooming someone in the minor leagues. Grooming is maybe the wrong word. They're preparing someone in the minor leagues to take that spot, or they're already looking and waiting until the opportune moment, which is something that Neander has already said they are doing, just waiting for the opportune moment to then go out and get someone. And they just haven't yet, because the opportune moment hasn't occurred, and it's not affecting the Rays to such a level that I think it's like a need. Like, it's something that it's, if they don't address it by the end of the year and we get to the end and there's still not a number 3 guy in the bullpen, I would say I would question that a little bit, but we're nowhere near that point in the season yet. There's so much time, even until the All-Star break, when you're going to see on the trade deadline, when you're going to see some of those trades start to happen. There's so much time for them to evaluate, because think about it from this perspective too. If you're Eric Neander looking to improve the team, if we just said you can't make any judgments on players on this team, he can't make any judgments on players on other teams to determine if they would really help the team. If you go out and trade for someone who had a hot 1 month and he comes to here and is terrible, well, you don't even know if he necessarily just, well, he went down when he came to our team. You don't know that, because you don't have enough of a sample size to determine if what his performance over the first month of the year is worthy of being traded for. So what he's doing is the smart thing, and waiting until you get a full sample, a legitimate sample size of the players this season, and make a decision then to who you'd like to acquire and bring to your team. which is the smart thing to do. So anyone out there who's suggesting that we need to move on from any part of our front office, you are deluded. You are deluded.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing is it would take a lot to fire Kevin Cash or see a major change in the front office.
It would take a cataclysmic event. That's all I have for you. It would take take a collapse. Like it would take a collapse unlike anything we have ever seen in the Rays organization. That's what it would take.
Yeah, I feel like I saw your brain explode when I
A
started
little
to read
bit.
that question. And that's kind of how I felt when I saw people saying that Fairbanks should go for a 6-out save the other night against the Mets, like first game back off injury. That's how my brain felt. So I totally understand. But kind of related to what you touched on with like the bullpen stuff, because we do need a third guy. Like I'm 100% on board. I think the third guy is already in the organization. Like the call is coming from inside the house. It's that kind of
Good.
thing. Could be Poche, could be Diekman. Diekman looked really good this week, honestly,
He
with
has
his
looked really
stuff.
good.
I like him a lot. Could be someone in the minors. But we got another question from someone on Twitter. He asked, is it time to trade for Liam Hendricks? He suggested a Curtis Mead, Cam Meisner, and Oslevis Basabe package. And he said that Caminero makes Curtis Mead expendable. So that's why he made that package. So I'm keeping a straight face the best I can, but it's not working.
I am not keeping a straight
So I
face.
think we both know our answer to that question.
The only
Yeah.
thing my only comment about that is I think what it does do, I think, is point out something that I think a lot of Rays fans don't understand, and is if the truth is if you want to make a significant upgrade like acquiring someone of his caliber, which that guy, fantastic story. Really hope he he continues to kill it and kills it at the major league level. Super awesome story. I would love for him to I'd love for him to come to the Rays. He's killing it. He's awesome. Love that guy. But the point that while he's being a little ridiculous with the package up to send out, if you wanted to make a really significant upgrade to this team, you're going to lose a top prospect who you really like. You're going to have to lose someone like that. So you have to be aware of that. Like, we cannot just trade Vidal Brujan for whoever we want. We cannot just send Vidal Brujan to the Padres for Josh Hader. Like, that's not going to happen. Like, you have to be aware that if you're going to, acquire someone that's going to make a meaningful change to your organization, a meaningful change to your minor league structure is going to have to happen, because you're going to have to give up a top farm piece in order to acquire that. So that's the only thing of this. Maybe this is rude. That's the only thing of value I saw from that question, was that it's a good point that you're going to have to give up a lot to get a lot, but no.
Yeah, no, I think that's honestly like to try to get Liam Hendricks in May, I think that might kind of work. I wouldn't do that because that's a lot, but I think the White Sox would say yes. So
They would say yes in a heartbeat.
Points for that. But you honestly don't really know like how good Hendricks is going to be when he comes back. Like, it's a great like comeback story, but he's also like still a question mark.
Yeah.
Like, you hope that he gets back to what he used to do, because that's awesome, but you don't really know. And you can always get like a quad A type reliever with good stuff for like Vidal Brujan in like August, but it's May, so it's like, look at your calendars right now and then scroll over to October and then try to count roughly how many days we have until October. So like, I mean, well, the deadline's what, August 1st, so I guess you could scroll to August, but even then, like, you still have guys in the organization who could emerge in that final month, and you're kind of riding into the postseason with like whoever's healthy and whoever's pitching well. So the bullpen could look totally different by now. I think Adam and Fairbank are the only locks. I think we have a lot of like good pieces, but like we said, we still kind of do need you know, that third option. And if you're looking for a third option in like your weekly shirt rotation, because I know we all wear the same like 5 shirts every week, you can head on over to shop.rblrsports.com and get 10% off everything you order with promo code FLAPPY. That's FLAPPY. You can get some team inspired merchandise, not officially licensed, related to the Rays, the Bucks, the Lightning, the Rowdies. Maybe we can trade some of these shirts for an arm. I still like Justin Lawrence over at the Rockies. I've liked him for a couple of years. So maybe Vidal Brujan plus a Bring Back the Devil shirt for Justin Lawrence, and a Rockies, I don't know, a
Like a
beanie or
dinosaur shirt.
something.
Or
I'm
those
trying to
like
think
little.
of
Do they have those little dinosaur shirts?
what? Oh, with like the
Yeah,
arms,
the
or
the no Dinger, the Rockies
oh yeah
mascot.
yeah yeah yeah. Okay.
They got the little triceratops. You can just put him on a t-shirt. I would wear a t-shirt with Dinger on it. I would do that.
Yeah, okay. I would do that. I like the Rockies colors too. Like they've got a good color scheme. So like
Yeah, if only
whatever
they could get a
whatever they
good
kind of
GM.
do. Yeah. That's the you can get as many good like graphic design and I don't know, like stylist people in your organization, marketing, but if you don't have a good GM, you're probably not going to have a very good product on the field. You'll look
Yeah,
good, but the product is going to be lacking. So
yeah.
um,
Well,
yeah, but anyways, buy a shirt, shop.rblrsports.com, promo code Flappy. You know what to do at this point.
I was watching last night the after the Rays game ended. I was watching the Yankees and Reds because like, oh, that's a close game. Maybe they can come back and beat the. And then the Yankees scored like three in the top of the eighth or bottom of the eighth, which made it boring. Or top of the ninth, I think they scored like three, which made it boring. But the Cincinnati Reds City Connect jerseys are pretty neat, and I
Yeah.
hope that when the Rays do get their City Connect jerseys eventually, I think I saw somewhere that they're going to get them in 2024. So whenever that happens, I hope they're good. I mean, generally the Rays have, especially in the recent years, they've been doing really good jobs with their jerseys. Their Devil Ray jerseys are fantastic. So I just
hmm
hope that whenever they do get the City Connects, that they're actually good, because there's been some out there that are not. So I just hope we get
Yeah.
some good ones.
I really like the Nationals, like the cherry blossom thing.
Those are
That's
nice.
really
I like
cool. Like
those. I like those
that's
too.
different. I like the Rockies. I thought those were pretty cool.
Mhm.
They had like the green mountains or whatever on
Yeah,
them. That was
that was
pretty
a
cool.
cool look. I like that too.
So yeah, I think the Reds are pretty solid. The batting helmets were pretty cool.
Yeah, the little like
But
because
overall, it was
it was on to it was like actually out of the helmet. Like, it's not like just a
yeah,
flat. It's like it's 3D design. It's pretty neat.
yeah. I'm excited to see what we get for the Rays eventually. But yeah, I mean they had cool jerseys last night. Devil Ray Day,
Yes.
first summer concert series game of the year. Also, Randy Land is
AJR was in
full up
attendance.
in operation. Yeah, Brandon Lau was probably just loving it. But yeah, they took the first of three against Milwaukee at home. Uh, Classic Rays 1-0 win. Those are my favorite type of games. I love it. I honestly don't care much about offense.
I mean,
I really don't.
I'm here for every Sugar Shane start. So I was thoroughly enjoying his. He had a great performance. I really enjoyed it. I really love when they do the Devil Ray jerseys. Wander has like a purple arm sleeve he wears, which I think just looks
Yeah,
awesome with the jerseys. Really good arm sleeve game. But yeah, it was a classic pitchers duel. And I think Adrian Hauser, the pitcher for the Brewers, I think he's a pretty good pitcher too. He's been kind of up and down. He's had a pretty good start to the year. It was a fun pitchers duel to watch. I think
yeah,
there were some opportunities the Rays couldn't take advantage of. That's okay. Yeah, some. I had some. It was nice to see the bullpen not give up any runs as well.
yeah.
Uh, it was nice to see Pete get a save. That was good. That was good to see. Um, so it was a good game. It was fun. It was good to see them kind of get back to playing their brand of baseball a little bit, and get back on the winning side of the win loss column. And I expect them to continue doing that. I think the Brewers are a good team, not a great team, and I think this should be an easy series win. Maybe not easy. It should be a series win, and I think there's even potential for a sweep too. We'll see, but I think if they continue to get back to playing their brand of baseball here at home, I think the sky's the limit.
Oh, absolutely. A couple unlucky things on the base paths, but like
Yeah,
they did the right things. It just like especially with that play where Siri was caught between third and
yeah,
home. The Willie almost made the. I mean, he kind of double clutched on the throw, so he stopped trying to turn two, and they shouldn't have been trying to turn two in the first place. But
yeah,
that mistake that Willie made allowed him to realize that Siri was caught in no man's land. So, like, it's where you trip on yourself, but you end up making the right thing
yeah,
anyways. And then they did the same thing with like trying to get Randy out when he was trying to go first to third on a
yeah.
Brandon Lowe single. Like he just maybe overslid the bag a little bit. Um,
Just a little
but
bit.
like trying to throw him out was the wrong decision in the first place because Brandon Lowe was able to move into second. Like
Right.
he's a good base runner, but yeah, the Brewers kind of got lucky.
Yeah.
Obviously, the Rays could have been cleaner, but they didn't really do that much wrong, and they did get back
No.
to playing their brand of baseball. They had Shane McClanahan specifically had a 66.7 first pitch strike rate after being like sub 59% as a team in the series against the
Yep.
Mets. So that was really good. And as a team, I think they were like 68% first pitch strikes. So Adam and Fairbanks came in, pound the zone, and they're your two best relievers. And when they enter the game, like 9 times out of 10, it's going to be a nice, clean, couple innings. And that's what it was. So good to see them get on track there and kind of calm down some of the people who are worried about the bullpen. The bullpen is going to be fine. I honestly think the guys that are in there that they have right now have been good. And I think as a team, the bullpen right now is above average despite all the smoke and mirrors and ERA and all the noise. I think by the end of the season, they're going to be top five, but the bullpen is fine. Don't worry. A lot of innings eaters, guys that have already been like DFA and are with organizations that, kind of wore some of the mistakes, some weird, bad luck performances. And the bullpen will be 100% fine, and it's 100% fine right now. So don't worry about it. But yeah, it was a good win.
Yep, good win. Any game that goes Shane, Adam, Fairbanks is a good game.
Yeah. I know some people wanted Shane to stay in longer, but just to get out in front of that, the fourth time through an order, like that's who he would have faced in the top of the eighth inning. Like you don't want any pitcher, like 3 times through an order is hard enough. Like the third time through the order penalty is very real and it hurts every pitcher, no matter who you are, who you think you are. But 4 times through an order, especially the top of a lineup where, the Brewers they're a smart organization. So they have their 3 best hitters in the first 3 spots of the lineup.
Mm-hmm.
Like, or their 3 best matchups, I'd say, because I don't think Owen Miller is one of the best hitters on the team. But against a lefty, he might as well be one of the best hitters on the team. Um, that's insane, especially in May in an interleague game. Like, come on, do like 45 seconds of thinking plus another 15 seconds of searching on Fangraphs, and then you'll see that like leaving Shane in for the eighth would have been a horrible decision. Glad they didn't do it. Yeah, just overall though, great win, and I'm happy they kind of righted the ship there, even though it was literally a 2 game. I don't even want to call it a losing streak because it's not even a losing streak. Like just a 2 game
blip.
Yeah, a blip, a pimple, and they popped it.
Yep. They popped it, and then the person who I think did the most of the popping was my pitcher of the week, Shane McClanahan. I think he's continued to be the best pitcher on this team. He had a rough start. It's funny to say pitcher of the week because he started the week out with a very uncharacteristic start, but at the end of the week with exactly the kind of game that this team needed. As I said this a couple of times, he has the ability to go out and get the kind of start the team needs when they need it. When you've lost 2 games, even if it's a blip, when you've lost 2 games, you need to get back on the right side of the win-loss column. Shane can go out there and get you 7 scoreless and can get you home early and with a win. And that's exactly what he did last night. The big thing for me was he cut the walks. Only 1 walk last night. I really, really like to see that. Some of the hits he gave up some hard contact. A lot of the contact was not that hard though. So I think it was a really good outing from him. Love to see it. My lizard brain would have loved to see him get a complete game, but definitely not worth it. I could see it maybe if it was against like the Yankees or like a division rival. You want to just really just throw it in their face a little bit. But against the Mets, who we wouldn't see again until the World Series, no, I think that was exactly the right decision. Great game from him. And yeah, no notes.
Yeah. Well, honestly, if they had a lead, like maybe he could have stayed in, but
Maybe.
like it was a scoreless game, even like a 1 or a 2 run game, I wouldn't have left him in.
Yeah.
If it was like 4, maybe 5, yeah, sure, give him like the first 3 batters in the eighth and see what happens. But
Yeah.
no, especially for like long-term health. But yeah, no, he was solid. That first start against the Yankees this week was not good, but he definitely got back on track. And there's no concerns about Shane. Everybody, has a bad start once in a while. So I think that was probably like the start yesterday was one of the, I mean, it's weird saying, but one of the few where he was on it. Like normally he's been like having okay starts where he's able to get really good results. I think that was one of the starts this year where it was good and he got good results. So yeah, it's nice to have an ace on the staff who can do that.
Mm-hmm.
My pitcher of the week. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, you're good. Yep, you're good.
Okay. Pitcher of the week, Jalen Beeks, 5 innings, 0.9 FIP. Just great results to match his great stuff on his changeup, which was 127. He was he was killing it this week. 31% whiff rate, and he led the team actually with 0.2 FWAR out of the bullpen. So, well, led the pitchers with 0.2 FWAR. So he was like, I know we started like one game, but 5 innings is kind of a lot for a
It
relief
is for a
pitcher in
week.
1 week. So, I mean, except for like a bulk pitcher, but he's not like that. Like he pitched in
Yeah.
3 games. So, yeah, good for him. I really am happy that he found it. He definitely found it in that one at bat against Aaron Hicks like 2 weeks ago at home. And he's been riding that wave ever since. And sometimes that's all you got to do. So, yeah,
Yeah.
Jalen Beeks, Jay McClanahan, two pretty good weeks.
And I think Beeks is definitely. I don't know that I mentioned him earlier in the discussion of who could maybe be that number 3 guy. If Beeks continues to pitch this way, he could 100% be in that
Yeah.
conversation. And his ability to go more than 1 innings, Beeks is a super valuable arm in this bullpen.
Yeah, I'd be really interested to see him possibly take that spot. So
Yeah.
we'll see. It seems like they like him as an opener a lot of the times, which
Mhm.
is, that's good too. I mean, you're facing like the 3 best hitters to start off a game usually.
Yep.
So that's pretty cool too. But yeah, he's definitely like he's earned more like medium and high leverage work with what he's been doing recently. And I think Isak Paredes has definitely earned more playing time
Yeah.
with what he's been doing recently. I know he's our dual player or dual bat of the week this week. 2 home runs, 3 hit by pitches, which is a lot. They did not like him in New York with all the hitting he was doing and productive at bats, so they had to knock him down a bit. But 7 RBIs, a 1200 OPS, 233 WRC plus, and he led the bats with half a win above replacement. So yeah, great week from the sock. He's dangerous.
Well, and when you're hitting home runs off of arguably the greatest pitcher of this generation, you're
Yeah.
you're 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 doing you're doing a good thing. And I mean, sure, he's coming off of injury. He's maybe not what he once was, but Justin Verlander is still a phenomenal pitcher. And being able to get him twice in a game, like I would be very curious to see how many players have hit 2 home runs off of Justin Verlander in the same game. I don't feel like
Yeah.
that number is very high. So maybe that's some homework I'll do later. If I find a number I can fine, I'll tweet it out later. But I feel like that was a really great performance from him. He's consistently been excellent out there, and he kind of, you have to put him in the lineup. I feel like at this point, it's like, you know. And that's the nice thing. Even with Yandy having a little bit of an injury bug right now, and he's been out for a couple games. You have a guy like ISSAC that you can plug into the road, plug into the lineup, who's already going to be in the lineup most days, but he can bring some pop every time he comes up to the plate.
Yeah, definitely. And that's a great transition into a quick little injury update here. Yandy, he's actually like fine. He was available to pinch hit.
Yeah.
Cash said he might play today. I mean, I think he will play today, but he really doesn't need to. Like they can rest him for that Toronto series, which is actually going to be kind of. I mean, it's weird to say it's important because it's still, like we said, it's May, but the 4 game series coming up at the Trop at home against Toronto is going to be one of the more important series they've had in a little while. So, um, yeah, I mean, just keep him healthy for that. That's fine. But Sean Armstrong's getting built back up in Durham. He pitched again last night. His pitches are looking sharp. Velo's a little bit down, but he's getting a spring training style build up here. So that's totally expected. But everything looks good. He could be back within like 2 weeks maybe. Just in terms of like where the velo's at, that's kind of what it looks like. And the big one, obviously, Tyler Glass. Now he's scheduled to throw 5 innings tomorrow, so Sunday in Durham, and then he could be back his next turn in the rotation assuming everything goes well. And that's going to be a huge boost for the rotation, obviously, the bullpen, because they're still pretty gassed, and he can eat a lot of innings, not just eat innings, but like pitch well in those innings.
Yeah.
Just a great boost for the pitching staff overall. And then a question that we got was about Curtis Mead. So I kind of wanted to give a little injury update on him. He's kind of been playing not 100% for maybe about half of the season, and he's currently on the injured list in the minor leagues right now. He's rehabbing in the complex league. But someone on Twitter asked, is there any concern over his slow start? He has a 55 WRC plus in just under 100 plate appearances with Durham so far this season. So, any concerns about Curtis Mead's slow start to this year?
Not really. I mean, he's getting his first, like extended taste of AAA action.
Yeah.
It's definitely an adjustment for him. I think he will be fine. I think playing through injury affects everyone. You saw it with Wander last year. Playing through injury over an extended period of time affects your play. I think he'll be fine. He just needs to get healthy and get acclimated. It may be that the idea of him coming up to the big leagues was premature to start the season, and maybe he needs a full year in Durham to cook, but that's not really a problem if that's the case.
No, absolutely not. He's like 4.5 years younger than the average age in AAA too. So just you know he's just a 22-year-old that you
Yeah.
know trying to break through to the majors. Which unless you're a talent like Wander Franco, that's who broke through at like 20, that's
Yeah.
not going to happen. The rumored contract extension, I think, is still something that you know is we could see this year, just
Good.
because he
Yeah.
really is so far ahead of the curve in terms of where he's at developmentally, and he's going to be a really good hitter for a long time. They wouldn't have had him to the 40 man if he wasn't. But yeah, he'll be fine. Even when you're healthy from injury, like it can take a little while to get your timing back, especially with such a weird swing. Like Brandon Lau has a weird swing because he twists a lot. Curtis Mead has a weird swing just because I don't know what they're doing in Australia, but he didn't show up for whatever when they taught him how to hold a
Hmm.
bat, and it works for him, so it's totally fine. But his
Yeah.
throwing motion, his stance, like everything is just kind of weird, but it works. He's got
It
incredible
works.
bat speed. He's strong, quick hands. So yeah, he's a good athlete. Nothing to worry about. Just hope to see him get healthy soon, and he will. No concerns about that going forward.
Yep. Nothing to worry about. Just, I think sometimes especially after a Wander and seeing how quickly he moved through the organization and getting up to the big leagues, I think we're kind of spoiled a little bit, and then we
Yeah.
want the next big thing. Give him some time to cook. He'll be fine. We'll see. We'll see you maybe in September for a cup of coffee, and then we'll see you next year.
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you everybody who sent in those questions and stuff with replies, DMs, all that. Sorry if we were a little mean with some of them, but just make sure you read what you're sending before you post it, because like I'm gonna try to be nice. I'm trying to be nice a lot of the time, but
Hmm.
come on,
Just
think about some of these things, please.
just whenever you're gonna tweet something, just type it out, look at it, sit for like a minute, and then tweet it.
Yeah,
I think we'd all be better off if we did that.
honestly, I have like sometimes I'll like type something out and then I'll be like, let me just save this as a draft and then come back to it later. And I'm like, oh, actually, I don't really want to say that and start any problems. So
Yep.
just maybe try that. I don't know, but yeah. Anything else before we wrap it up here?
Nope, don't think so. It's Eflin's pitching today.
Yeah,
I expect him to pitch well. Should be a good game today.
yeah. Razor facing a lefty. Don't face a ton of lefty starters lately, so that's always nice. They're really good against lefties too, so that should be fun. I'm going to
Get
the
some Taylor
game.
Walls action, maybe.
Yeah, that would be nice. I think Cortez was the last lefty starter they faced, which wasn't too long ago, but he was the first one in like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So,
Mhm.
um, yeah, should be a good game. But thank you everybody for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe to all of our podcasts at RBLR Sports. We are on, well, not just podcasts, but we're also on YouTube. That's probably where you're watching this right now, hopefully. YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn. Like, subscribe, give us 5-star reviews on Spotify, Apple Podcast, iHeartRadio app, Google Podcast, Google Plus, Google Sheets. You can review us on there. Google Slides. I use that
Mhm.
every day. Google
Mhm.
Docs, where I keep my show notes,
MySpace.
my game notes, MySpace. Um, weren't they doing like Google Glasses? We're on
There
Vine.
was Google Glass. They do have Google
Yeah,
Glass. Yeah. Hey, don't
Vine.
if you're in Tampa, don't forget about the Rowdies watch party tonight. That's
Oh
going on.
yeah,
That's
Rowdy's
going to be a
watch
huge
party.
blast. Be there, be square. If you're in Tampa, I am not. I would be there, but I am not. So y'all go and rep for me. The live pregame
Yep,
show, 7:40,
yep.
5 p.m.
They got some giveaways. They got beer. They have probably water if you don't drink beer. They have soccer. If you don't like soccer, I guess maybe not go. But if you like beer and you don't like soccer, you could probably go. I don't know. There's some Venn
Probably still
diagram we
enjoy
can
it.
make, but we'll see. But yeah, just thank you everybody for listening. Go Rowdies, first of all, because that Watch Party is going to be awesome. I'm going to try to get out there. And also go Rays, because
Rays up.
we are the Rays show.
We are the Rays show. Rays Podcast Supremacy.
Thank you for tuning into this presentation by RBLR Sports. On your way